Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to do a Q&A. Before we get into that portion of the video, I did want to update you on one of our most recent projects, and that was the DIY Pumpkin Snowman. There was quite a lot of stir about that project, mostly positive. Everybody seemed to really think it was a cute idea. I thought it was cute. We did have several people think that the pumpkins would start to rot right away, and I guess that depending on where you live, what your climate's like, that could happen. But I wanted to show you how mine are looking, so let's run outside. It's snowing outside today. It's very pretty. The pumpkin are just right around the front here, in front of our balcony. Here we go. 25 days is how long that these have been sitting out here in the weather, and they look pretty darn amazing. You can see all the snow. We've gotten like 7 inches altogether. Winter wonderland here in Eastern Oregon for sure. Let me get close on one. Looking pretty darn good and completely intact. You can see I've had a little bit of paint chippage, but not bad. And the only thing I did have to replace was the carrot nose because that started to deteriorate. All in all, I would say that that was a successful project. Back inside, because it is cold. All right, one more update before I get into the questions. I just wanted to show you this Amaryllis. This is one that I opened in the Gardener's Supply shipment of grow lights. They sent this and I am loving it. It just started to open this more last night, and I love the color. Just thought you might like to see it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go through our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and just look at our most recent stuff, our most recent videos and posts, and just grab some questions and answer them. So here we go. Would love to know what you're using to transport your heavy pots. I've checked online for a large or tall pot mover, but they either look really flimsy or really large and industrial. Nothing for us ladies or those who with physical impairments to work independently. Any help would be greatly appreciated. So I have used pot movers before and they are really helpful, but I do find that it depends on what kind of terrain you're moving them on. You know, it's different if you're moving them across gravel as opposed to grass, as opposed to soft dirt, and if you have to go over like ledges or stairs or anything like that. So I just use my wagon. I snag somebody to help me, either Aaron or somebody that's around. I'll wait until I have somebody here and then we just put them on my green garden cart and then move them around. I find it's the easiest way. I actually don't have a pot mover here at my house. Probably should get one because I do find that they're helpful on flat, easy surfaces, unless they have huge wheels. Down at the garden store we have a cart with huge wheels that goes over anything. And I'm not even sure what brand or what kind, but I'll try to find some examples and put some links in the comment section below. That way you guys can kind of have a starting place to check them out. And then about the greenhouse, there were several questions about the greenhouse that I thought I would go over. First of all, the cold frame is looking so awesome. I think so too. One question, do you water those plants in there during the winter? Yes. So I keep them on a pretty tight schedule of every 2 to 3 weeks, giving them a little bit of water because they're not getting any moisture from, I mean, it's snowing like crazy right now, but they're not getting any of that because they're under cover, and they can really dry out quicker than you think that they can in there. So I'll get my hose out every couple weeks and give them a little bit of water. It's not something that you have to like drench them, but you just want to keep their roots on the moist side, not too wet, but moist so that they don't dry out. Somebody asked, other than the lumber, would you be able to deconstruct the greenhouse if you were moving? Yes, it came as a kit, so all the legs, you can actually put them straight down in the soil if you want. I had mine anchored in concrete, but they're just like concrete, I don't know what you call them. They can be taken out. It's not like something that's permanent in the ground. Of course, the wall that we had built in the front, it's actually not attached to the greenhouse. Kind of is, but kind of not. I mean, you could take the whole greenhouse frame away from the wall and the wall would be freestanding there out in the middle of that section. So yeah, you could absolutely take it down and move it. Is your greenhouse heated? No, it is not heated, but it's considerably warmer in there than it is outside. Aaron and I used it actually yesterday. It was really cold outside and we used it to film a winter fairy garden, which I think by the time this video is out, you will have already seen it. I'm really excited about that one. It was so pleasant in there because it takes out all the wind chill. I mean, you're just protected. It's like this little plastic bubble out there. You can run heaters. We had a little floor heater, like a plug-in type running in there, because I used a little bit of concrete in the fairy garden, so it helped it set faster. But nope, not planning to heat it at all. One day I would love to have a real greenhouse, like with a foundation and running water and electric and heat, kind of like a home, but for a home for your plants. That is my goal in the future. And then Molly asks, will you have enough heat in there to store your succulents? First of all, hi Molly. No, I won't have enough heat in there. All of my tender succulents had to come inside, and they are upstairs in a bedroom where it's warm, and they've got lots of grow lights up there. I have, as of today, once I get my lights set up, I will have 23 grow lights plugged in up there. It's kind of embarrassing. 23 grow lights for my plants, but they are really happy. It just doesn't stay warm enough out in that greenhouse. I can do the hardy stuff like sempervivums and some possibly, no, I wouldn't even do some hardier agaves in there because we're supposed to get negative this weekend at night, and I just don't think it's gonna stay warm enough in there. My 13-year-old granddaughter wants a succulent for Christmas. I have one fixed up with Christmas fairies. What do I do for the light, and how much do they need? So in the wintertime or inside, succulents need quite a bit of light. In fact, and one of the questions later is how long I keep my lights on. So I turn my lights on in the morning, somewhere between 7 and 9 in the morning, and then they go off when I go to bed, which can be anywhere from midnight to 3 in the morning. Typically is when I'll shut them off, so they get a lot of light. Now I don't have them super, super close. I mean, you could have grow lights anywhere from this close, you know, up to, and I've got, you know, some good space, so it's not like it's burning on them all the time. But they do really, really well. They stay really compact, they don't stretch out, and they stay nice and colorful. So far, this is my luck with grow lights. So I just turn them on in the morning, turn them off at night. In season, they usually recommend morning light, like 4 to 6 hours of morning sunshine. So I think as long as your succulents are getting a block of light, even if it's 4 to 6 hours at any point, they will be happy. How do you keep them chubby and compact? This was for a sedum post I did on Instagram. Mine bolt every time. It's probably a light issue. Like I said, you got to keep lights rolling. Something flashing on the camera screen. I don't know what that is. Weird. So yeah, they just need lots of light in order not to bolt, and echeverias are the most notorious for stretching out in the center and exfoliating, and they don't revert back. Like, you can't reverse that. So keeping strong, proper light on those succulents is super vital. On YouTube, my succulent is getting yellowish. What should I do? Typically, when mine are getting yellow, that means they're getting too much water. So I would probably back off on water. If that doesn't seem to be the problem, you might check the light. Could be that too. You want to make sure that they're getting the proper amount of light, especially in the wintertime. Where do you store your plants? Can we see? Yes, I'm going to show you where all my houseplants are. Well, most of my houseplants, kind of my hoard. I got my grow lights set up yesterday, my new ones, and I wanted to get everything kind of organized in there. It's a total mess. It'll be much easier to show you once everything's on its proper shelf. So I'm going to work on that this afternoon, and we plan to do a houseplant tour very soon. Okay, I did show you guys a project that wasn't typical for one of our videos where I decorated, I built a sign and then I decorated at our church. And a lot of people asked if I freehanded the image, if I came up with the image, etc. The image I found online, and I found it a few years ago, and I really loved it. It just seemed so like peaceful and reverent, and I really thought it was a beautiful image, and I had wanted to do a picture with it, and it just didn't work out until this year, and I really wanted to build that frame. The frame was super, super fun to build. Anyway, so the question was, did I freehand it? Kind of not. So I started out with the image projected on the boards, and I may as well not have used a projector because it kept on moving. I was just penciling, so I penciled on most of the design before I painted, but I ended up turning the projector off and I just freehanded. I had kind of the structure part done, so it was easy-ish to follow. And then when I got to painting, I found a bunch of spots I forgot to pencil on, and so I just kind of had to guess with the paint. And honestly, this sign sits pretty far back from where everybody sits, so it didn't have to be 100% perfect, thank goodness. I have about 5 amaryllis plants. One just finished blooming, and I'm just waiting for the leaves to turn yellow to cut them off and let the plant rest. 2 others start growing leaves back in the early fall, but no flower. The leaves have died and nothing else is happening since. Should I stop watering, let them rest, or keep watering and wait for a flower to come up? Also, my 2 others, should I start watering them to wake them back up or wait for leaves to come up on their own? So this is going to be a separate video later on. When I get ready to cut my amaryllis back, I will do a video on how I do that, and then the whole process of what you do. So just in short, I cut the bloom stalk off. I let the leaves grow. If any of them yellow or wither, I'll cut those back, but I let the leaves stay on because that's what recharges the bulb. So the leaves draw in the sunshine, change it into energy, and then feed the bulb, and then it can prepare and it has energy to form a bloom for the next year. So I keep it inside until danger of frost is gone, then I put it outside in kind of a shady-ish area, treat it just like I do all my other plants outside, water it normally, and it grows beautiful. It's just a beautiful strappy-leaved plant. I really like it. When danger of frost comes back in the fall, I'll pull it inside, and then I will cut off any foliage that looks bad, and I'll put it in a spot where it's cool-ish, like 55-ish, and dimly lit. So we're trying to simulate a dormant period for the amaryllis. It takes 6 to 8 weeks for it to kind of go into dormancy to prepare for its next bloom. So you want to do that fairly early in the fall, like maybe beginning of September, beginning to mid of September. You want to do that. You leave the green leaves on because the bulb will draw down energy, and you'll notice the leaves starting to wither and look bad. And usually I don't water during this time. I water it in, once when I bring it in, and before I put it in storage, and then I leave it. And then as those leaves start to wither, I cut them off, and then so that's beginning to mid of September, and then right toward the end of October, so it's had 6 to 8 weeks to be in that kind of dormant period. Then you'll pull it back out, and you want to do that 6 to 8 weeks before you want it to start blooming. So end of October, beginning of November is perfect time so that you get blooms in December. And then you can start watering it. Like usually I'll bring it out and then I'll water it, and I won't water it again until I start noticing leaves come up. And once leaves start to come up, or the bud starts to come up, then you can water it a little bit more consistently. Now, every year it's different. I've had a lot of success with amaryllis blooming, and then I've had years where they don't bloom, and sometimes they just don't have it in them. Sometimes they don't have enough energy to produce a bloom, but just go through that whole schedule with them, keep them as a nice house plant, and you might have better luck next year. That was supposed to be a short answer. I felt like that was long. In our African violet planting video where I repotted African violets, I showed my big bowl full of African violets, kind of twisted it around, and somebody asked if that was a sneaky little orchid in the big violet pot, and yes it was. That's what happens in my house. Like if I have a random plant and there's a spot in another house plant container, I'll just pop it in. And African and violets typically need to be treated a little bit different, but they are thriving together. I think plants are a little bit more resilient than we give them credit for. And I think some people, and myself included, I've been there, aren't brave. Like they're just a little bit afraid that if they do something slightly wrong, it's going to kill the plant. I don't know, I feel like I learn a lot by just being that way, by just throwing stuff together, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You learn a ton through the process. In our basil pruning video from a long time ago, I love seeing videos come through from a long time ago. That's really fun. How do you cook with fresh basil? So I will tell you the ways I use basil the most. I use it in caprese salads and bruschetta. So like anything tomato basil-y is so super good. I actually don't use it like when I make spaghetti sauce and stuff like that. I don't. The main reason why I grow basil is so that I can have gimlets. They're really good. It's a simple syrup, and it's lime juice muddled with basil leaves and a little bit of gin, and you shake it and strain it, and then you smack a basil leaf to kind of make the aroma stronger, and you float that in the gimlet. It's the best. All right, so the last question was on our quick succulent arrangement, which was where I planted up a galvanized square that you can hang vertically. The middle is hollowed out, so I was able to plant it. Lillian asks, I would like to know if arrangements like that last with proper care, or those are just for decoration purposes and will die eventually even with care. Sometimes I fear making something like this and then they will die. Are succulents best grown in single pots? I think that you are not alone. I think there's quite a bit of fear about trying something new like that. Succulents are extremely versatile plants, and I think they're a really good one for people to start off with just because they are resilient and they don't take a lot of care. As long as they get proper amount of light and not a ton of water, they do really, really well. They also tend to like to be planted, or they don't mind being planted in close quarters like I planted them in this arrangement. In fact, it just they'll nestle together, and if they don't have a ton of root space or a ton of area to grow, they grow a lot slower. Usually I just do regular maintenance on arrangements like this, which means just popping off any leaves that are starting to wither or anything, which is normal unless it's happening too much. But just regular grooming of plants, and occasionally, maybe every few months, I'll have to pop one out just to make a little bit of extra room. Sometimes not all succulents, like if you're planting 20 succulents, the odds are that not all 20 of them are going to survive. I mean, those are just gardening odds. So I would just kind of go into projects knowing that it's, even for gardeners who do it all the time, plants still, that happens to us, and it's fine. Just keep trying and keep doing it and have fun with it. And the last thing that I wanted to say today was we just hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we got quite a few congratulatory posts, and thank you so much for that. Usually, you know, numbers are numbers. I like the interaction that I get to have with you guys the most, and I mean, it's really fun when we hit milestones like that. And I just wanted to say thank you guys, and it's been a really fun time. I feel like Aaron and I have grown a lot in this process. We're still learning a ton, and I learn a lot from you guys too. So I just wanted to thank you so much for supporting us and following us and making it fun. So see you guys in the next video. Bye.